Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Today, day 12 of 21 days towards building hope. And I want to talk about dealing with anger. It's definitely a topic that's near and dear to my heart because I just think anger is seen as such a forbidden emotion. And I agree that it can be if we hang on to it. If it consumes us, it can. And there's a lot of those pithy quotes. Hey, Barbara, like, holding on to anger is like holding a hot coal and expecting it to burn someone else. Those I know they're well-meaning, but really to me what I hear in there is that you're not allowed your anger. You got to let it go. Move through it instead of allowing it. Absolutely just allowing it to be what it is. In any mindfulness meditation practice, they're really talking to you about looking at your emotions, just observing them. And in tapping, as I see it, it's this incredible way to embrace every single emotion that we have, no matter what it is, in a safe and healthy way, and be able to tap through it. So we're going to tap on that, but I want to read today's out of 365 days to embracing forbidden emotions, January 12th. Don't judge each day by the harvest you reap, but by the seeds that you plant. Robert Louis Stevenson. This is a lovely thought in theory, but in practice, it's a different journey. I would love it if I judged each day by the seeds I've planted, but I live in a fast-paced, go-get-'em tiger. If it's going to be, it's up to me world. The society I live in reveres the movers and the shakers in this world. I'm trying to shake off the cobwebs of the programming that would have me doing exactly the opposite of this quote. The programming that tells me I am what I do, I am what I have, I am how I look. My current reality is that I am somehow missing the boat on the reaping a harvest I see so many people around me reaping. I live in a world where compassion is queen, where I judge my insides by others' outsides and always find myself wanting. This is a setup for failure in a world that loves action and doership. Sometimes I just want to lie on the grass and watch the clouds go by. But that's not being productive. It's sounding like Robert Louis Stevenson knew something profound that got lost in translation in this fast-paced world. What if I could tap through the beliefs to be productive and to have to reap a harvest that others would love to have? What if I could tap on the idea, and it's just an idea, that I have to make it happen? It really is just an idea. What if by doing so, a space is created within me to see things differently than the way I was programmed to see things? Who knows what's possible when I see life through a different lens? I think I'd like to find out. Thought for the day? I set the intention to open up to possibility. And the beauty is, this intention is enough. The how can come to me. I wanted to share this because it popped in my head. Years ago, I was in my early to mid-20s. I was living in Chicago, and I was driving around, and it couldn't have been a less spiritual environment. My job at the time was I was a distributor sales rep for C-stores, and I would call in 7-Eleven stores, and they were owned by franchisors. And my job was, as the distributor, to get them to buy from us. And the company was owned by 7-Eleven, Southland owned. The company I work for owned all the 7-Elevens. So you might imagine, well, they're franchises. They should want to buy from the company that owns them. They hated the company, hated it. So that was my job, and going in and out of these C-stores all throughout the Chicago area and some of the, like, what you'd call it the spookiest parts of Chicago. I'm this, like, young 20-something running around doing that, and I was listening to these tapes. At the time, I was attending a Unity church, trying to detox from my Catholic upbringing and hear more about love than punishment and hellfire and brimstone. And I was listening to these tapes, Life and Teachings of the Masters of the Far East. I'll never forget this. I was in a mastermind group at the time, and one of the women in the group, she just kind of like sort of shoved them to me, like not in an obnoxious way, like, you got to listen to these. Like you've got to listen to these. And I was like, and they were on the cassette tapes. So I listened to them, and literally driving around for weeks on end, I listened to them for weeks. I literally had a spiritual experience, a very profound spiritual experience in the least spiritual place you could possibly be. In traffic, driving around in Chicago, listening to these tapes. And having been in a 12-step group, how I heard this said is a spiritual experience is basically a rearranging of the mind. The mind sees things in a new way. And I did. I could not see things the same way that I was programmed to see them in the religious upbringing that I had. I literally saw everything differently. And I saw this potential that we all have, this possibility that we all have, and it was profound. I literally was like walking around like on cloud 9 for like 2 weeks, probably even longer. And I even told my husband at the time, my first husband, I was like, I need to go to India. And I give him a lot of credit because he's like, Marty, this just happened to you, so why don't we just let the dust settle and see what happens? And if you need to go, I'll go with you. I give him so much credit for that. But at the time, I was in touch with a cousin, and it was weird. Talk about divine timing. She sent me a letter, the actual snail mail letter. Back when we did such things, there was no such thing as email then. And I told her, she was the one that I called, because she had taught me how to meditate, doing transcendental meditation. And she said, I told her what was happening. She said, it came on the right day. She goes, Marty, you might find that you're going to have a crash after this experience, because you're going to realize you're still in a body, you're still having a human experience, and you still got to deal with humanity. And the day she sent that and I read it was the day that was happening for me. And I'll never forget, I was sitting in this corporate meeting. And I was listening to everybody, and I'm like, none of this means anything. It doesn't matter. What we're talking about is like, it's not important. But what was happening in that moment, even though my ego was starting, the human part of me was starting to reconnect. And then what happened is I was pissed. Shocker. Anger, tapping on anger, because I thought, why was I given this glimpse of what we could be? And now I have no idea how to get myself there. It's funny, I feel emotion. I have no idea how to get there. Like, it felt like torment to be given this gift, and now I'm like, where do I go from here? How do I do this? I'm so pissed that I have to deal with all this. And I turned away from spirituality after that for a really long time. And then I found tapping. And this was years later. Probably 15 years later, something like that. Because I was so mired in my junk, my humanity. It's like, I here's the pendulum swing. I got this glimpse of that rearranged, and it's forever changed me. That spiritual experience has forever changed how I see God, Jesus, all of that. I see it so differently than the way I was taught. That's always been different, but I sort of rejected it because it was like too extreme. I was here, and then I swung over here. And what I realize now is I had to go back into the humanness of me because I had to experience, I had to learn how to meld the two. But then I became so mired back in the humanity stuff, even though I had a sense of spirituality and I was grateful for the shift that I had, I still was rejecting a lot of it. Well, then I found tapping, because what was happening is my trauma that I'd never dealt with was coming up too. And that's where spiritual bypass comes in. We think that, I'll just think happy thoughts. I can deal with all of this in a spiritual way. And yet we're neglecting the body. We're neglecting the human part of the physical body. Goes with Christy's work, psychosomatics, which I do a little bit, but she does in a profound way. It's rejecting all of that. It's like, I'll just spiritualize my way out of it. And that's spiritual bypass. It's like, don't be sad. Don't be upset. Be the first to forgive. Be loving. Be kind. Understand that when someone's mean to you, what they're going through. Well, when somebody's mean to you and you're having your own trauma about that, that needs to be dealt with. And I am so grateful now that what's happened is this melding. So then I was doing tapping. And what I have found over the last few years is it has reinvigorated my spirituality, but in a profound way where I'm melding the humanity with that. And I'm allowing myself, my humanness, and learning to be less judgmental. Because I think that's a profound spiritual journey, is to be on this planet in a body, being a tyrant when you are, right, Barbara, or being like losing your screws and being able to go, what if I can love myself anyway? What if I can love the worst parts of me? That's spirituality. And to me, to every day learn to judge ourselves less and to find the love that's within us. That's spirituality. And that is a journey. That's a journey. And that's a journey that takes going in deeply, looking at ourselves in a real way and coming up with that. And with this tapping I was doing yesterday just on my own, I had a profound memory come up that I literally had blocked out of my life. It was very profound. And it really gave me a key to some issues that I've had. And I thought, wow, and to go through that memory and the emotion that it brought up, that's incredible journey. So to ping off yesterday's topic too, with this anger, is when someone's mean and rude to you. I love the definition or perspective. Oh, thanks, Barbara, right? It's just what's come to me over this time is, but when someone's mean to you, we're naturally going to want to be mean back, or it happened to me yesterday again. I was talking to a customer service person that was immediately copying an attitude. And even the propaganda that's put out now, like, be kind to everybody right now, everybody's struggling. It's true. But I also believe it's like, wait, I'm calling customer service for help and you're copying an attitude with me? I'm going to say something about that. And I did. And the gal hung up on me. I said, I've worked customer service before, and I got to tell you, I feel like you're not doing customer service very well. And I was calm about it at the time. I was like, I was irritated, but I was like very direct. And I'm like, I just don't think you're getting the point of customer service. And she hung up on me. And I'm like, wow. And the weird thing is they sent me a way to rate it afterwards. And I did rate it, honestly. But that's part of the melding is I get to speak my truth. And I'm going to say this. For men, I think it's learning to get more in touch with your softness, your sadness, your vulnerability. And for women, it's to allow ourselves those more yang emotions, like anger and that. And like, I want to be, like, I need to stand up for myself, and I might have to be angry to do it, but that's not a bad thing. So all of that said, on pinging off yesterday, when someone's mean with you, the thing I didn't say yesterday that I want to add today is rant tapping. That is the way through it. Anger tapping, rant tapping. That if that person is telling you their truth, just telling you my truth, but their truth is ginsuing you, to me it would be like in a safe and private way, is let them have it when you're tapping. Let them how dare you say that to me? How do you talk to me? Oh, look at you. So let's do this. I'm going to use that example from yesterday, because I think all of us have had that where somebody's been like, I'm just telling you my truth. And you're like, yeah, but I'm bleeding from your truth. So karate chop. Even though I'm so pissed, I'm so pissed at this person. What an ass. Oh, you're just speaking your truth? Brutal honesty is a form of hostility. I choose to honor my truth right now. Even though you're just speaking your truth? Guess what? That street goes two ways. I'm going to speak my truth too. You're pissing me off. I choose to honor my truth right now. Even though here's this brutal honesty. Oh, you get to try to shred me emotionally, but you're just speaking your truth. I'm going to speak my truth too. And think about, I'm going to add this, do this with the help of a seasoned practitioner or privately by yourself, because then you get the angst out and you'll see how it transforms the way you can deal with that person. So go to the eyebrow. Really, you're speaking your truth and just being honest with you. Yeah, here's my truth. Your truth sucks for me. And your truth feels riddled with hostility and projection. And I'm furious now. And I'm going to give myself my truth. I'm going to be enraged and angry and in a safe and healthy way. Privately let myself have my truth. Your truth sucks for me. And you're unburdening yourself and your angst with your truth and dumping it at my door. Thanks, but no thanks. This sucks for me. And I'm angry. I'm probably even enraged. And I'm really pissed. And I'm really feeling this in my nervous system. And I'm giving myself my truth. Because I need my truth about your truth. And it sucks for me. But I'm going to do this in a healthy way for myself. I'm going to let myself be as enraged as I need to. But tap through it. So that I can free my nervous system and my psyche. Because that's a loving act to myself. Is to give myself my truth while tapping through it and set myself free. That's how I'm going to love myself enough, is to give myself my timeline, my story, my truth and anger, and tap through it and love myself enough to set myself free. So take a breath. Kirsty, sending you lots of love and healing. So glad you're here. So I would do this with someone in a session, and I would tell them we would use the FU tapping, the rant tapping. What would you say to them? That's what you want to tap on. So you're like, if it's screw you, F you, rant it out. Blah, 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 blah. And it's so liberating to do that because you're doing it. You can do it with a seasoned practitioner. You can do it privately with yourself. But just the idea is you rant out your truth. But the caveat is you got to tap because tapping is going to move the energy. And I have yet to do this for myself where my anger might spike, but that's a really good sign because it means, oh my God, I'm really getting this out. But then it always quells. And then I'm literally like, it's like a great yoga class or qigong afterwards. You're like, why was I so upset? Why was I so mad? And you have a different perspective and you can come back to that person and speak your truth that's firm and allowing of your truth. And it's just, it never ceases to amaze me how it can shift the energy. So Thank you, Kirsty. Love seeing you here live. Barbara, love seeing you here too. It seemed like this was probably a long one today. Maybe not too long, but we'll see you back here tomorrow for day 13. Lots of love and healing to you, Kirsty. Take good care. Bye.